All right, so we are live here once again on another Wednesday night under lights here on Couch Coach Live. What's going on, Maui?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. Just another Wednesday grinding, another week, another week, another show. We here.
Right, right. What else been going on though?
Yeah, man.
Nah, I've been
Yeah,
in and out of
another
state.
Wednesday here. Well, got
Oh,
a
I'm sorry.
lot of yeah,
Yes,
for
I've
sure.
been, I've
Yep,
been, I've been
yep.
in and out of state, man. So
Oh, no,
you've
you
been
good,
doing
you good, you
okay?
good. Yeah, everything's good, man. Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
hmm
That's great.
Yep. Yeah, man. Just grinding, man. That's all.
Right, right, right.
But yeah, man. So we got a great show lined up tonight. We'll talk about the last night's game where the Orlando Magic and the Golden State Warriors have advanced to the NBA playoffs. So we'll talk about that. Um, we'll dive into some first round matchups, kind of go a little towards the weekend and do our matchups to watch, this weekend, and then also kind of look forward to doing our NBA Finals predictions, who we think going to make it to the NBA Finals. We'll discuss that. Interesting news out of Colorado. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, their jerseys are going to be retired this weekend. We'll talk about that. Nico Iamaleava. I think I know I've been butchering his name for like the last 5 days, but we'll talk about that. His situation, him being out at Tennessee, we'll discuss that. And also we'll discuss the tragic death of Kyren Lacey. We'll talk about that. Then we'll wrap up the show with a game ball and final thoughts. Also, before we kick the intro, we Couch Coach Live. We've been around. It'll be almost 11 years. Almost 11 years, 3 months from, almost short of 3 months short of 11 years. We've always had, when we have guests on the show, we consider them friends / family.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, one of our friends / family, Couch Coach Live, passed away on the wee hours of Monday morning. Darian Hopkins, if you watched us, we affectionately called him D-Hop. He's been a part of our AFC West previews for the last 3 years. He also came in, if you remember, when John Gruden was resigned from the Las Vegas Raiders. He was on there at a drop of a hat, came in on a Tuesday night. I remember it happened that Monday, and he, came on the next day to discuss it. And unfortunately, on Monday morning, he passed away at the age of 39. It's still a shock. Obviously, when I found out about it, I was still in shock. Obviously, in a group chat, a couple of us, quasi media folks, they told the news, and I was, in shock, making sure that's the right person. And it's one of those things, and it's crazy. I just talked to him 2 weeks ago. I talked to him April the 3rd, which was two weeks ago Friday. And we just talked about some stuff as far as media stuff, kind of some trying to as far as some things when it comes to media, as far as ways to kind of get credential for certain things. So we kind of discussed that. And one thing I truly kind of heartbroken about it, because I really wanted our conversation to expand more, because we were talking, and then as far as I wanted to kind of somewhat more so have more of a depth conversation about what we talked about on April the 3rd. And you always think that you got the time and it's gonna happen. Unfortunately, in
Mm-hmm.
this situation, time wasn't on that side. And I just want to give my heartfelt condolences to his fiance and his family. He was another one, here when it comes to media, just love what he did, as far as, and it's it's one of those things where it's still a shock. And it's crazy because obviously follow him on TikTok. So obviously, if you ever how TikTok works, you have to like videos. Sometimes me, I go back and look at my videos, and it's strange, looking at it now, even looking at it now, him doing TikToks last week, you didn't think that this, it would be this way. And yeah, we lost a real one.
Mm-hmm.
And gosh, I really wished that we could expand on our conversation that we had on April the 3rd. That's one
Right,
thing
right.
that's really, yeah, it's really it's really hurt.
Right.
It's a terrible loss. And that's the thing
Right.
about just this whole media space that we got now, and just how we all kind of have and it's phrase one of the group chats I'm in now with some of the guys. And it's funny, we said if it really wasn't for Darian, we wouldn't even have known each other. He
Right.
brought all us together in some form or fashion. So he's gonna be truly missed. I was looking forward to kind of what he was gonna talk about, definitely with the Raiders next week in the NFL draft, just upcoming season. And
Right.
obviously, he always kicked off our coverage essentially the last 3 years with the because we always used to kick off with the AFC West. So
Right.
yeah, man, it's definitely tough. And once again, my heartfelt condolences to his fiance and his family, for sure.
Right. Same here. Sending love, strength, and power,
Yeah, man.
and healing.
Yeah, man.
Mhm.
Yeah. And like we know everything that's going on, just everything. It's just
Right.
yeah.
And
And
one step, one day at a time.
and
Um,
yeah. And matter of fact, and it's I say it like this, and I actually was and I forgot to mention, as far as what him being on our show, actually I was his co-host for his show late 2022, early 2023. So
okay.
and it was great. We had a good time, and which not to kind of go into what's going on in your neck of the woods, but
Mm-hmm.
At that time being on the show with him kind of helped me get through what I was going through at
Right.
that particular time as well. So
Right.
yes,
I didn't know that.
it's
That's
just
what's up.
it's yeah, and so and I know like as far as and it provided like a respite, kind of gadgets or something to make you feel normal. I think that was the kind of
Right.
thing, so yeah, there was, and it is kind of one of the things where how that, how everything kind of meshed together
Mm-hmm.
in everything. So yeah, man,
Right.
it is. Yeah,
It's hard, but I'm gonna say this since you brought it
yeah,
up. Like she didn't know that I had a podcast. I'm talking about my grandmother Frances Little, and she's a sports person.
yeah,
So I think my mom said that she was showing her the show, and while we were talking, she was like, "That's right, you tell them. That's right." You know what I mean? So that's what's up, man. Like
yeah,
I was not, I'm gonna get through this because I know if I can get through this, you know what I'm saying, I'll be ready for tomorrow. And you mean the world to me. So, you know,
yeah,
I was gonna
sure.
make sure
Same
that I
here.
was somewhat ready. And I was like, man, cool. He put 8:30. He gave me a little more time.
Yeah,
So we just
yeah,
we got great chemistry. So we just gonna do it. That's what she would want anyway.
sure. And I had told you, you take the week off and we can get back at it, and talk the draft next week. But like you said, I get it because that's how and that's like I said, yeah, because sometimes you need that. I know, like
Right. I didn't know
my situation 2 years ago. Yeah, so
right,
yeah,
bro. I didn't know. Like
and
it just. I
yeah,
was sitting with my brother, and he was helping my mom with her taxes, and then I just sat there in the corner and I'm watching sports, and it's just the memories and memories, and I love Akron,
mhm.
and it's changing, and people are growing up, and there's generations, that were saying, man, we should have family reunion because they don't even know all the family, and then like just to see my older childhood, you know what I mean? Like seeing my cousins, because I didn't have a brother till I was 18. So see how my cousins were interacting, looking at each other's ties. They were the brothers, Bop and Tremaine. And then seeing my Uncle Troy, seeing my Uncle Fat, knowing their like some of their personal stuff and how they were able to overcome, seeing my Aunt Reese and my Uncle Troy still riding together. It was just you know me, man, I'm not really a negative person anyway. I love giving detailed flowers of what I seen or this and that help influence me. So it was just really great, and shout out to my family, my immediate, my mom, my daughter Cadence, my brother, and Jasmine, I marry her, and just everybody, but especially the Morgan family. I had two of my uncles that mean so much to me, and then I had my Aunt Jeanette and my Deza. I really, really appreciated them sitting over there in the corner for support, because a lot of families, especially when it comes to death, a lot of families are splitting up, and they're trying to, and I can see it's a little stress, but they're building something real special for the 4th of July. And I was actually probably going to give them the game ball, but we'll go ahead. I just do that right now, just give it to them, but when it comes to the young man that passed away, and to his family, my grandmother was one of those ones that if she didn't know you, she would hug you, and she had the biggest heart. So, that's one thing I think that she always gave to me, and that's why I'm so protective of you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you got one of those hearts too. So, I'm sending my love to them. You know what I'm saying? Which came from her. So, sorry for their loss.
Yeah, man, and yeah. But
Mhm.
yeah, so what we're going to do on the other side, we're going to kick this intro, and we will be right back here on Couch Coach Live. We'll be right back.
All right.
All right. And we are back here on Couch Coach Live, episode 337 here on Couch Coach Live. It's powered by SeatGeek. Head over to SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code Couch Coach. Get yourself $20 off your first purchase by using SeatGeek. So, we got to talk a little NBA action. So, obviously, last night we had part one of the NBA play-in. Where we had the Orlando Magic and the Golden State Warriors advancing to the NBA playoffs. The Magic with a 120-95 win over the Atlanta Hawks. Now Boston has a date. Now the Magic have a date with defending NBA champions Boston Celtics in the first round with that one. Magic in this game went on an 18-2 run to end the first quarter. Cole Anthony led the shout out to Cole Anthony, University of North Carolina. 26 points, 6 assists. Paulo, the other guy on the research triangle, the Dookie, 17 points, 9 rebounds. Then also the Hawks did get it within 6 in the fourth quarter, but then it was just too much Magic. And also Trae Young had 28 points before he got ejected for having 2 flagrants. So we talked about the Magic advancing to play the Boston Celtics. Now we got the nightcap. We had the Warriors defeating the Memphis Grizzlies 121-116. And now they are going to play the young and upstarted Houston Rockets. So that's going to be a great series. Jimmy Butler led the Warriors with 38. Steph had 37. He went 13 for 13 from the free throw from the stripe. The Warriors led by 20.5. The Grizzlies did make it a game in the second half, and for the Grizzlies, Desmond Bane had 30 points. Ja had 22. Jaren Jackson Jr. had 18. Thoughts on the playing last night?
When you really watching it, right? And I kept saying Trey really to win that game is going to have to get like 40 points to me. You know what I'm saying? If I was going to talk about that game first, he got 28 points, and he was the only one. Like for instance, I feel like the playing tournament is supposed to teach the younger players how to hit the extra switch. Like you don't have to go high, but you got to hit this extra switch. It's not a regular. Even though it's not the playoffs, but it's a important game. It's kind of like when like the whole game got to be like the fourth quarter. You know what I mean? And if you really pay attention, like Carl Anthony is a veteran. You know what I'm saying? And he was on the bench and he got 26 points in 20 minutes. Carter Jr. got 19 points. Wagner got 13 points. Banchero got 9 rebounds. And that's the other thing. The small attributes, like they out rebound them. Like that's all around. Like at 3-point line, it was 4 for 21. Like they didn't. The Magic was 11 for 39. There was no game plan. They're like and that's why some people don't like it, because truth be told, the Hawks is rebuilding. You know what I mean? And I can understand the frustration of Young, whereas this is third or fourth coach since he's been there. Was like maybe second, maybe.
Yeah, Nate McMillan, Lloyd Pierce.
Okay, so yes, he had more than 2.
I think like it's 4th because Chris Snyder is the coach now, so I think he's despite his 4th,
right.
I think.
And that's all, I just feel like when there's in games like this, your veteran players like LeVert should not have had 7 points. You know what I mean? Like Trae Young had to get like 40 points. I don't want to mess my man name, but it's Nying or something. He got 15 points. A dude on the bench got 15 points. I don't want to mess his name up. He needs more than that. Like Trae really should be asking for a trade, even though it's Atlanta. But he really should be asking for a trade to go somewhere, because somebody can use him. But he use him. You know what I mean? Because he's really by himself. And it has to be some type of system, because he needs to be. Trae Young should be in the playoffs. We said this years ago. I said Booker and Trae Young need to be in the playoffs. Now, like I said, the Magic, basically their veterans understand we need to win this game so we get in the playoffs. Then we ain't got to worry about trying to do no elimination game. Then we got to play even harder. You know what I mean? It's just to me, the acts of professionalism. You know when you need to play. Example. All right. I work at a job, right? I got 40 hours. I get a truck on a Saturday and the truck is late. So the gentleman said, I only got 6 hours. I can't get no overtime. He said, Sean, we got to pull the truck. We got to download the truck. We got to do all this stuff. And you only got 6 hours. It usually take you 8, but that's how hard you got to work, because you can't get overtime. And I think that comes with experience and being a veteran. So that's how I feel about that game. I feel like the Magic has bright veterans that say, we know what we need to do to push this team forward. So the Warriors and the Grizzlies. If you really look at the stats, I'm just going to talk about the stats. The Grizzlies won everything that had to do with scoring. And then you see things like rebounds, steals, and things of that nature. Guess what? The Warriors won. If you look at the stats, truth be told, the Grizzlies should have won this game. If Ja got, the score was 116-121. They lost by 5 points. Ja got 22 points. There's no way, and this Ja Morant should have got. If they had got hit, Ja Morant would have got 30 points. They most likely would have won this game. You got Kennard, who's a 3-point sniper. He only got 3 points. Like Pippen can't have 9 points. He needs to be getting 15. You know what I mean? So and then Bane got 30, Jackson got 18, and Edie got that 17, 14 rebounds. So I'm looking at that like even Edie should be giving you 20 points. Jackson too. Like, do you know what I mean? You understand? I know it's only one ball, but if Ja Morant's gonna have 22 points and Bane got 30. One more person got to give you at least 20, 23, 25 points. Even if it's Kennard giving you 9. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. And I think I saw them, a lot of people watch this game because they got this new coach, and we know they're trying to do something new. They did well. They came back when Ja was on the bench. But I really do feel they want to feed that ball and try to make Edie the Joker, and he's not the Joker. His feet, not saying that he can't. I think they need to come up with something else, but his feet is a little more heavier than the Joker's, because I seen him trying to, go in and he wants to kick it out. But I felt like when he was trying to kick it out, he waited too long. So he seemed very, very slow. But I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I think the Warriors aren't as good as they're making themselves out to be. And I just think they're, again, crafty veterans that know how to win a game.
I look at like the Magic. That look at the score. It's weird. So when you watch the game, obviously Magic led pretty much throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
The Hawks kind of made like a valiant effort in the fourth quarter, but it just wasn't enough. I'm really curious now how this Magic team going forward. Obviously, because in essence they kind of took a step back this year. Obviously, they had a lot of injuries and what have you. But I mean, just seeing like Cole Anthony doing his thing, Paulo, and like they're starting to kind of grow up the levels. Like I don't know. That's right. I won't. We talked about this. Matter of fact, shout out to on the play callers where there's going to be levels to this type of thing where you're seeing like what the Magic can do now. You're seeing guys like stepping up. You see even like a guy like Anthony Black doing his thing.
Right.
So you look at the Orlando Magic team, they are starting to gain experience, especially and they were, obviously being last year, making it to their 7th game in the first round against Cleveland. So I wanted to see how they do against Boston. Don't expect much. The Warriors, I think just one thing, where you just had a great night with Jimmy and Steph. I mean, you think yourself, that's 75 points between the two of them. So they have nights like that. That's going to be really intriguing, especially. And we kind of have to kind of tease the next topic, but like I really want to see how this team will match up, especially against the inexperience of Houston. Obviously, so I think that's going to be really interesting. I think they drew the best matchup that I think they could possibly have going into it. But I still think even in these losses with the Hawks and the Grizzlies, they will host the game on Friday. So I definitely think they have a great opportunity to potentially sneak in the playoffs. And definitely at the Hawks, then they'll draw the Cleveland Cavaliers. And if Memphis, they'll draw OKC, which I think could be a good matchup. But and this, it's one of the things where I definitely interesting on how Friday will play out. So we'll see how that goes. Right. So we talked about as far as like the playoff seedings, we kind of teased it a little bit. So the only question mark at this point is going to be who's going to have the 8th seed. So pretty much in the East, like I said, we got the Cavs. They're going to be awaiting it looks like it's probably the Miami, Atlanta, where the way things are going in Chicago at this point. Like it's a foregone conclusion. Probably by the time you listen to this, Miami probably have won this game. So it'd be the matchup between, I think it's going to be Miami and Atlanta. The 2 seed Celtics versus the Magic. 3 seed Knicks versus the 6 seed Pistons. 4 seed Pacers versus the 5th seed Bucks. Then in the West, obviously, we talked about the Thunder, the number 1 seed. They'll play the Memphis / Sacramento / they will face. Memphis will host the Dallas versus Sacramento matchup winner. So they'll face that. You got the number 2 seed Rockets versus the number 7 seed Golden State. 3 seeded Lakers versus the 6 seeded Wolves. And then you got the Nuggets, 4th seed versus the 5th seed Clippers. All right. Which first round matchup that you're looking forward to watching? You could do like 2.
Okay. I'm not going to be biased with this either. I would like to see. I want to see what this Nuggets and Clippers team. I want to see what the Nuggets and the Clippers are going to do. And the reason why I'm saying is I asked you about Ty Lue, and you said, no, you don't think they're going to do anything. I do feel like back in the bubble when I was talking about Utah and the Nuggets, and I was like, somebody's really going to have to make a move, and we already see Mike Malone go. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with this with this team. If the Nuggets lose, are they going to really blow it up? And if the Clippers lose, are they going to blow it up? They already somewhat started, but they've been on a little win streak. So I want to see that one. And to be honest with you, I'm gonna say I want to see what OKC is going to do, because I really don't believe OKC. I believe OKC is really a play-in team, but what they did was they just started playing. They play early in the season, so I want to see what they're going to do in their first round. With this, which is probably going to be who playing the Kings again? Hold up.
The Mavs. The Mavs. So it's the
Mavs. The
Mavs and the Kings.
The Mavs and the Kings. And the Mavs, if the Kings lose, they play the Grizzlies, right?
No, so the Kings and Mavericks, whoever wins that game is going to Memphis on Friday night. So whoever loses, they're done. Their season's over.
They're done. So
they're in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes.
Yeah, I'm with you. So yeah, I'm really, that's interesting. When you really pay attention, I mean, that would be the Grizzlies, or even the Mavs, like go up against OKC. And honestly, man, that could be a sleeper. That could easily, with AD there, if they could just find. I'm telling you, because that might be scary. I don't think people ain't, because Kyrie ain't there, but they got good coaching. They can figure it out. So I'm looking towards that. I think anybody in the first round, you should always be looking at 1 and 2, because they don't really know who they playing yet. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm looking at. Can I do something on the East?
Yeah, we could do. Yeah.
Let me see. Who the Bucks playing? I'm sorry.
Okay, so the Bucks are gonna be playing the Pacers.
Okay, that's right. Because I seen that earlier. I apologize about that. I'm same thing, because they have history. We remember last year, right? And I was watching something today, and the guy really was being disrespectful to the Pacers. And everybody got to remember, like, I think the Pacers could have beat Boston last year. They put more on the players, but if their coach would have did some timeouts and coached a little bit better, they might have beat Boston. But that's what I'm looking at, those right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna start with the East. I definitely think this Knicks versus Pistons is gonna be really interesting.
Yeah,
it's gonna be really interesting, and I'm just looking at the physicality of Detroit.
Yeah,
how can they kind of go against this Knicks team? I really want to see how that kind of plays out. I'm definitely loving that matchup in the East.
Mm-hmm.
I think, the Pacers and the Bucks, I think this could be a toss-up. And like you said, that's a rematch of last year's first round.
Right.
So you really kind of see how that goes. I'm looking for it. And then also the Rockets versus Golden State. Like we talked about as far as the experience versus the non-experience.
Mm-hmm.
And like to me, I think Houston is almost like kind of how OKC was 2 or 3 years ago, where they were just kind of getting their footing. Seeing what they can do in this series against a team like Golden State, who obviously still that veteran team. Obviously, you look at even now you added a guy like a Jimmy Butler to this equation. How they will, how they perform against a younger team like the Houston Rockets. How the inexperience will catch up with Houston. And this is almost remind me almost like when Golden State played Sacramento, 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago. And they ended up winning that series in 7 games, where like in this situation where, if it's a 7-game series, I can see Golden State potentially winning game 7 in Houston potentially, for that. But I really like the contrast of the two. And just really want to see how this Houston Rockets team, because they're another one that kind of really shot out of the cannon. Because I mean, I didn't think they were going to be the number 2 seed in the West. I figured they were, going into the preseason going to the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
They started off strong at the end of last season. I think they were like 41-41. Figured they were going to be like a fringe team. Like I thought we'd be one of the teams that we'd be talking about tonight as far as in the play-in.
Right.
Ceiling maybe 4 or 5, but 2. Yeah, that's something that I really didn't expect. Me personally, for them to be the number 2 seed in the Western Conference going into the preseason. So it's going to be really interesting how that matchup will play. So,
right.
Yeah, those are the ones I'm looking forward to. So, we got NBA Finals prediction. So, who are the 2 teams that are gonna make it to the NBA Finals in your opinion?
I'm definitely going for the Lakers. In the finals and the East, man. Let me think. Oh my God. I honestly, I got a tie. I'm gonna put a tie with the Pacers and Boston. I believe the NBA will always want Boston to be there, and everybody really crowning them. I mean, hold up, I'm gonna say a tie between. I can't pick between the two because I got the weirdest feeling like the Pacers. I just got the weirdest feeling, man, that the Pacers gonna make a move. You know what I mean? I don't know why. I just got this weird feeling. You know what I mean?
So, for prediction wise, so it got to be 2. So you got to.
It gotta be 2. Hey, come on, be on my side. I got you. So I'm gonna pick. Right. I got you. If that's the case, then I'm picking the Cavs. So I'm saying. Okay. You know, but no, I'm gonna go honestly. Though I'm gonna go LA versus Boston.
Okay. This is a matchup I really was hoping that was going to happen not years ago, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. Well, not 2 years ago. I got the Thunder and the Celtics. I definitely think it's Thunder and the Celtics. I think they got a legitimate shot because I think when you look at it, because I think they will get the first round. Like it's gonna be it, especially and it would be wild if the Mavericks become the 8 seed and it'd be like a rematch of last year's was semifinals. Yeah, it was last year's semifinals. Right. Yeah, because OKC was the number 1 seed. What was
OKC was number 1 seed? I think
last year. Yeah, last year was the Mavs was the 5th seed last year. My memory serves correct, I think. Because
I was thinking 6, but you might be right.
Oh yeah, I think they were 6 because that's right because they played because they beat how they beat because they lost. Then they lose to the Thunder lost to the Mavericks last year. Because I know
they did. So what did it was the first round, right? Wasn't it the first round?
No, because if they were the 6th seed.
No, I think because they were low. They were low.
Because I want to say they were. I think so because I know they played Minnesota in the conference finals.
Right.
Let me look that up because I know they played each other last year. If my memory serves correct. Because I think
OKC lost
to 3-6.
I thought they lost.
OKC lost to, if my memory serves correct. Because let's see, how did it go?
Wasn't the Kings?
Yeah, the Mavs was the 5th seed. That's right, because the Mavs was the 5th seed. Okay. Because they beat the Clippers. That's right, because they beat the Clippers.
That's right, they beat the Clippers. That's right.
They beat the Clippers. Then they end up beating OKC. Because remember, Minnesota ended up beating Denver.
Right.
And then Dallas beat OKC. Yeah, I knew it was a 5th seed because I was like they lost in the second round. But yeah. But yeah, and there'll be a nice, interesting rematch of last year's. What's that? What did you consider that? Semifinals? Except with the second round of the NBA playoffs. But Yeah, that'll
So
be the interesting for me
who
if
does
if
Memphis?
if the Mavericks advance.
Right. Who the Mavs got as their point guard? I mean, I'm sitting here.
Who
My
is the
Kyrie
Mavs
hurt.
point? Uh, I don't
Who
know
are they
who's the
guards
Mav.
really?
Uh, who are the Mav? Let's see, because I know guard wise kind of was Clay, but Dinwiddie, Spencer Dinwiddie, point
Okay,
guard.
so Dinwiddie's there, and
Yeah, Clay.
so by having
Mhm.
AD, are they shifting like Gafford and Lively and Lively because Lively's playing center, right? And AD playing the four, right?
Yeah, Lavely's a center. Yeah, then
Right.
PJ the third. I mean at three.
Okay, so PJ 3. That's what I'm
So
saying.
Gafford's coming
Even
off the
though
bench. Obviously, you got Gafford, Dwight. Yeah,
I think that's going to be a bomb because I'm gonna tell you, I think OKC. I'm with you because everybody scream OKC, but I think they're not the same team. Definitely
yeah,
without Luca, but and I think people's teams still don't know what the Mavs do, and I think they can beat them because I don't really see they can play them big, like you know what I mean. Especially since you moved Gafford to the
yeah.
three, because he was playing four, right? Wasn't he playing the four?
Who Gafford?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they had all right, because you had Kyrie, Clay, PJ.
And
Well,
Clay's
this is
still
after
there.
Luka. He
Oh, right.
yeah, hold on. All right, man, I don't got a brain fart. All right, so what I said. So all right, it was Kyrie,
Mm-hmm.
Clay, PJ. Oh, Derek Lively. Yes, Derek Lively, the center. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So he was a four before AD came. This is yeah.
Right. So they would shift this, which make them have a little more height. And
Yeah, like
I'm
they
just
yeah.
wondering, is OKC's big man gonna be to handle that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting though. Just to throw some details that I hadn't heard nobody talk about. Because I remember last year, Gil and Kenya Martin had got into it because Gil was saying for the Mavs to really win, they got to get longer. They said the teams that win championships are long, and he was like, in this league, he is big for blah blah blah. And now they got AD there with Lively because they was already blowing up how Lively was playing last year. So
Yeah.
and then Jason, like I said, you got Jason Kidd, man. He'll a good coach. We'll see what's gonna happen though.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll shift our focus now to college football. So we gotta talk about interesting. Obviously, we talked earlier in the month. Well, not earlier in the month, more so. Yeah, well, last month we talked about Colorado spring game. At the time, they were trying to
Mhm.
get trying to get an opponent to play in an inner scrimmage, and obviously, Saturday was the spring game that got axed by the NCAA. But there is an interesting thing that is going on this Saturday at Colorado spring game, where Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter will have their jersey retired.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on Shedeur and Travis Hunter jersey being retired?
Um, Man, when I was watching this, the people really was putting their 2 cents in. So I'm very interested to see how you're gonna take because I know you're a traditional guy and it's this and that, but um, I think it's what's up. I definitely feel like they're squeezing, the lemon of these two as much as they can to get as the rest of the juice that they can before they get drafted. But it's what's up. I know they had other players that they hadn't retired. So, hopefully by doing this, they go ahead and retire those too. Seemed like a lot of people didn't really, to me, talk about Colorado Buffaloes. You know what I mean? And now they are. You know what I mean? But I do feel like they're squeezing the juice of this situation. You know what I mean? Before they start new. You know what I mean? So I give it a plus. Anytime you do something like this. I know some people were saying that they feel like it was early. They feel like other people should have got it before them and this and that. But I do remember, the last 2 years, they was a must see for me. So yeah, I know it might not be that way again. Some people said that they didn't mind Travis getting it, for Travis retiring his. But a lot of people had question marks pertaining to Shedeur. You know what I mean? So that's that's what's up. But let's see what you're gonna say.
I don't mind them getting their jersey retired. I just don't like the timing of it. I don't like the fact that essentially, A, they're not even drafted yet.
Right.
B, we're only 4 months removed from their last college game. Normally, these things happen years down the road.
Right.
And I just don't like the how early this is. First, obviously, I'm gonna go with Travis. Obviously, I think Travis definitely should. I think if you win the Heisman Trophy, you're automatically your jersey should be retired, especially for a team like Colorado, who's only had 2 Heisman Trophy winners, and also the late Rashad Salam, which I found it odd when they retired his jersey. It was 23 years after he won the Heisman, because he just got his jersey retired maybe like in a few years ago.
Right.
So I looked at that. So yes, I think Travis definitely should. But what's funny is I know a lot of people was kind of about Shedeur, but I'm like, Shedeur put up some numbers. Like I think people fail to realize of how much numbers he has put up in his short career. I mean, obviously, if you're looking at from his whole totality in his D1 career, he's 14th all time as far as passing yards and touchdowns. And then you look at even in Colorado, he's broken several records at Colorado. The most single season passing yards, he owns that. And as far as the most passing yards in a single game, he's number 1 at passing touchdowns for a season, passing touchdowns for a career. Now imagine he's around. I mean, and there's some good quarterbacks, like you said. Not a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, he should have got in with Cordell Stewart," but people understand Cordell Stewart in the 4 years he played at Colorado, he only had 33 passing yards. I mean, passing touchdowns. Pardon me, passing touchdowns. Shedeur had 64. He almost doubled that. And Cordell had 6,481 passing yards. Shedeur has 7,364. And we're comparing 2 years to 4. And I know people are going to say, well, he had a great running game because obviously he had Cordell Stewart back in that day, and he ran as well too. So I do agree that Cordell Stewart his jersey should be retired. But we still got to give Shedeur like his due for the 2 years that he was there. And I understand, yeah, he didn't win a national championship like the other ones, as far as other guys who are deserving of it. I do think down the line that he should have got it. I don't necessarily think his jersey retired now. And, in my personal opinion, I would say maybe like down the line. Because I even like the situation like with RG3 when he got his statue. We were on the show at the time in 2014 or 15 when they were going to give him a statue in the stadium. I was like, no, you wait till RG3's like in his 40s. You wait till he in his late 30s, early 40s for something like that. And I say the same thing for both Shedeur and Travis. They do deserve to get their jersey retired, but it's just the timing to me is just I don't like it. I hate the timing of it, but they are deserving of it. And I understand, like people say, well, they didn't do much, but we got to realize they resurrected this current Colorado team. This Colorado team has a lot of storied tradition, over 130 years of football tradition. This team was stagnant. This is arguably one of the worst college football teams 3 years ago. No one talked about Colorado, and I understand. And they kind of brought them back to at least to a point where the wins are there. Obviously, you think, oh, yeah, he had the 9 wins this year, then the 4 wins. What did he really do? But the numbers suggest that he is, because he's your all-time leader in passing touchdowns in his career. And, I don't know if necessarily if, Juju Lewis would be there long enough to break Shedeur record. So
right.
who's to say? I don't know. So but him, what he did in 2 years, I think is really impressive in my personal opinion.
It was much CTV, like it really was, like and then it made. Yeah, beyond, to me, I always say this. One of the reasons they're doing it is because they're retiring the jersey. Like they really, really, really made a lot of currency. You know what I mean? And they made currency for everybody. And it started off like a burst of a bubble. Like you remember that first year, man, like game day went there. Like it was so, and it kind of ties in what we probably gonna talk about later with NIL. Like it was just so, like every day, like it brought an excitement that you kind of didn't see in a long time. We've seen it before, but man, like I went back to start watching ESPN more and First Take because they was going to Colorado, and then you go on YouTube and everybody had every podcast, everybody was either there or filming. Like it was something, and then they lost, and then it was like, okay, they got too much spotlight, we got to pull back some. You know what I mean? Like it was just something, like everybody ate off of that, and it's like it might not be that way again. You know what I mean? Like they got to move on from Dion, and and they, man, let me tell you, it was like Travis, him throwing to Travis, it was, and then Travis doing these immaculate catches, and like it was just great. And I understand the timing of it. You're right. Everything you're saying is right. But I also can see the people who really started following them and watching his son's vlogs and things of that nature. We gonna watch Saturday because it's on ESPN too, if I'm not mistaken, and we gonna watch that because it was much CTV for us. You know what I mean? Like we was watching every day and every week. Some people that wasn't Colorado Spring Buffalo fans became it, and they did everything. It's a lot of teams can win, but they still don't, like, for instance, the Nuggets. The Nuggets can be dominant, this and that. Ain't nobody buying jerseys or really trying to watch them. You know what I mean? No offense, but you go to a Colorado Buffalo game, it's nothing but entertainment.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know. I guess and to me, like the whole like Travis Hunter being a has been. Then I really think about like Rashad Salam, where unfortunately he wasn't able to see his jersey being retired too. So
Right.
I think about that too because he passed away in 2016. I think the jersey got retired in 2017 or 18, one of those years. So you think to yourself, like, it's, but yeah, I just found it odd, like, not odd, but like you said, it's strategic because obviously they put butts in seats for Saturday, but I still think it's premature. I was
It is.
those guys should have been at least. I think, like I said, down the line in they 30s, maybe early 40s potentially, but like
Right.
but it's what it is. But because a lot of guys, if you look at just Colorado, just in its totality, like a lot of guys deserve it, but that's not something that, in my personal opinion, you put on like Rick George or Dion. Well, really more so Rick George. That's more so putting the pressure on Rick George to say, hey, if you're doing this for Shedeur, we need and Travis. Now, well, let's look at guys like Eric Bieniemy. Let's look at, we look at other guys like Cordell Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm gonna piggyback on that real quick. I think they could do that. I think by Dion being there, Dion is saying this is what we should do. Like a lot of Cordell Stewart definitely should have had his jersey retired, but at the same time, they probably. I mean, it's no excuse to be honest with you, but Dion is telling him, like, man, this is what you need to do. This is how you change your franchise. This is how blah 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 blah. Like these people help build this. So he should definitely Cordell Stewart should get him. It's Cordell Stewart. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? And he won a title, right?
I think was he part of that 91, that 90 team? I think he was a part of that 90 team. I think that won a national championship in Colorado because I think they won in 90.
So check it out. If they were to add Cordell Stewart to them two getting their jerseys, would you think anybody? They'd probably still say something, wouldn't they?
I mean, yeah, I think, and that's another thing too, where people gonna say something regardless. Even if you do this now, say, okay, next year, like, okay, we have a tradition every year of putting guys in jersey retirement every spring game. Or it don't even have to be a spring game; it can be in sometime next year. Okay, you bring in Cordell Stewart. Oh, it's about damn time. Eric Bieniemy. Oh, it's about damn time. Anybody pretty much at this point that is Colorado from the past, it's literally gonna be it's about damn time. I mean, so it's just one of those where I think people are going to talk regardless, and like you said, may open up an opportunity for some of these CU greats to get there. You're hoping that's the case, but it's just one of those things where you're just hoping that those guys should be recognized, and especially while they're living. Like this is, I think to me, should be a situation to be like, okay, yeah, we definitely need to put Cordell in there, Eric Bieniemy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a lot of guys. And that's one thing too. Going back and looking at kind of like their history, you think they had a lot of guys. That's one thing too. You can almost. That's why it's so weird now when you look at Colorado, you forget about kind of how Colorado was. Especially I know for me, like going in the 90s, you almost forget about how good they were. And obviously, even in the beginning of the 2000s, they were good. Shout out to our guy Joel Klatt, one of the best college football analysts that's out there. So shout out to Joel Klatt, like what they did back in them days. And so, yeah, it's just, to me, it's just too premature. But shout out to Travis and Shedeur.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Okay, but I ain't Rick George, so hey, do what you need, do what you do.
Right.
But so we gotta talk about. Oh boy, I'm gonna tell you one thing. I tell you, it is always something when it comes to NCAA in this situation, and it was funny because. And this we'll talk about Nico Iamaleava. I think I got it. I've been trying to practice it for the last like 5 days. I've just been screwing it up. We're just gonna call him Nico for the sake of it.
Right.
Nico was a quarterback at the University of Tennessee, and pretty much there was some rumblings coming out like Thursday, Friday, where Nico was essentially holding out for spring practices due to negotiations trying to increase his NIL. There were rumblings of him trying to renegotiate his NIL deal prior to the playoff game against Ohio State during the college football playoff. He signed. I guess you could say signed, but he had an agreement when he first stepped foot at high school. He had pretty much a $8 million NIL deal, pretty much paying him $2 million annually. And now what he was looking for a $4 million payout. And then obviously Tennessee had their spring game on Saturday, and Coach Josh Heupel pretty much said that the balls will move on from Nico. What's your thoughts on Nico? And there's now reports saying that he's probably more likely going to land to UCLA. What's your thoughts on Nico out of Tennessee? What you got?
Well, I saw I was getting them mixed up with the Dallas Mavericks, but what I saw and was we was going to talk about it. So I looked the stuff up. I seen everybody's perspective. It's knowing it goes around. Like bottom line is this NIL stuff is here and it's all over the place. And it is what it is. Like you know, you say you want this, and if they don't do it, and you hold out, that's the price of it. You know what I mean? Um, you have to, even though they're paying you millions of dollars, you still have to understand that it's important for you to play. You know what I mean? Because there are people. If your aspiration is to be just play, and he's a top guy, it's just play in college. I get it. You know what I mean? But if you're trying to go to the next level, you got to play. Um, and I mean, and to me, I do feel like you still know your value, and you still say, "Hey, I want to handle, I want to handle my business." It was a lot of stuff going there. They was talking about his reputation. Now they were saying that him getting his advice. Um, and hey, man, it's gambling. Some people just gonna go in there and negotiate. Say, "Oh, that's the best you want to do. If I want to stay here, blah blah blah." Let me ask you this. I was watching the show, and the guy was saying how when he played Ohio State, how I guess Ohio State was so dominant, and even though he was getting clocked, that he showed his heart, how he kept getting up and blah blah blah. It's and I'm asking you, is Tennessee, are they a really really good team? Is there some extremely flaws there? Like let me tell you what I mean by that. Like even though he's a top guy, do they are they taking care of him on the field? Like, do he run for his life, and do he get clobbered like he on a horrible NFL team or something like that?
No, I mean, I think he's just going through his process. To me, I think he did okay. I mean, he had like 19 touchdowns and 5 interceptions.
Right.
This whole thing with the situation, and then he's talking about well, Hypo doesn't run an NFL offense, but I'm like, you knew he didn't run an NFL offense 3 years ago when you signed that deal 3 years ago. So I'm like,
right.
Like to me, I don't get it, because you were behind a guy like a Joe Milton, who's now in the NFL, Hendon Hooker. So Josh Heupel has developed NFL quarterbacks. So that's why I'm so confused about all that. This is a mess, in my personal opinion.
I got you.
This is where it's like, and I understand, like, yes, you see like a guy like a Carson Beck get $4 million from Miami, and you think, you might think to yourself, okay, well, yeah, I'm better than him. But in the same token, you got to remember, what's the right chase? Like, are you chasing this type of money, or are you trying to get to the next level? And that's the thing.
That's what I'm saying.
This is going to be this is going to be a problem for him going forward. Because if you, like, as far as from the NFL, because yes, he's talented enough where he's going to get drafted, but there's still going to be concerns that's going to suggest, like, okay, how is this guy going to be? Like, if it's a situation where he's locked into a contract for real, and he wants not wants outs, but he wants more money, and that's not how it's going to work in the next level. And I just feel bad because he got bad advice. Granted, you look at the Carson Beck situation. Yeah, the grass is greener on the other side. But my thing is this: obviously, it wasn't because you should have just hit the portal. But he obviously didn't hit the portal because obviously the team was in the playoffs. So it's just one of those where he just got bad advice, and I will commend Josh Heupel for having the stance like that, because it's got to a point where, the like I said on one of the shows I was on this weekend, it's like telling a child, you're allowing a child eating candy before dinner. That's all this is. And Josh Heupel said, no, you're not going to eat candy before dinner. I got rules here. And now you're looking at, and I'm curious if, I know they're saying that UCLA is going to get him. I wonder how much he'll be getting in NIL. Like, I guarantee you, UCLA is not going to give him $4 million. And I guarantee you, it's going to be in that neighborhood of probably what he got at Tennessee. He might get a little notch higher, but I don't necessarily think he's going to get the $4 million that he wants. So that's my biggest thing with the situation. Yes, like go for it, but go for it in a situation where you don't lose yourself in this situation. Don't in the pursuit of trying to get more money, don't lose money in the pursuit of that. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing that he's going to have to. And unfortunately, the situation is going to hang over him because I don't know as far as if he's going to come out next year or maybe come out in 2027. But when he's going to Indianapolis, every GM is going to ask him that question, even though we could be potentially 2 years removed from this situation if he decides to go in the draft, in a year or two. But he'll be removed from the situation, and they will still ask that question. And it's just one of those where it's gonna, and he just got really bad advice. But I will give Heupel credit because he took a stance on it. He said, you know what? And this is gonna be one of those things, and this is a learning lesson where because at first I was thinking this was gonna be when I heard this Friday, sometimes when you read stuff you're so shocked because you're like, okay, we got a college football player holding out like this because I'm so used to a holdout happening in the summer NFL guys. I'm like a holdout for a college football player before the spring game, like, and I'm telling you, Josh Heupel, like I know this sounds hyperbolic, but Josh Heupel might have saved college football.
Right. Because I feel you. Do you think that he was doing this because he wanted to get out of Tennessee?
No, he wanted to stay. He wanted to get more. What happened was he seen Carson Beck. He seen Carson Beck get that $4 million from Miami. And he probably but that's the thing with people. He thinks that he's better than better than oh damn, I done lost my train of thought. But he thinks
about Carson Beck. He think he's better.
He think he's better than Carson Beck. And in all hindsight, yes, I think he is better than Carson Beck. But that still don't negate that, okay, I need to get more money. And I get that because people gotta realize, okay, I'm gonna give you a perfect example. It's like when you go to the restaurant, because we didn't get paid by any of these restaurants. These restaurants give you bread. Now, bread is just there to help you kind of satiate your appetite, get you kind of through while you wait for your meal. That's what college is. College is the appetizer / that bread and butter that they give you. You just nibble on it. You nibble on it. You just get through it. You're only gonna be there for 3 years top. Well, you got to be there for 3 years. You get what you need there because guess what? At the end of the day, yes, you are going to be better than Carson Beck. You're going to get money when you go to the NFL. You're going to get drafted higher than Carson Beck. Don't overindulge on the breadsticks. You got the main course. The NFL is the main dish. Stop eating 4 to 5 breadsticks just because you see the other kid eating the breadsticks. Go for the main course because guess what? At the next level, you will be at the next level / the full course. Yes, you're gonna probably more than likely. I would bet 50% of my assets that you'll be better than Carson Beck at the next level because that's what you're supposed. You're at a point where you're at the next level. You got to worry about the National Football League. You just get through this situation at Rocky Top for 2 or 3 years, and think about it. You already redshirted already for you. Like you messing yourself up because think about it now. You redshirted your first year. You had you had a good year kind of towards the end of that year, and then now you had 19 and 15 this year. And if you get some improvement, guess what? And we could be sitting here talking about you next year in our mock draft in 2026. But you fishing, you eating all them breadsticks. Get to the main course. Get to the next level. And I understand, yes, you right, and that's the thing. And I think we live in such of an instant gratification type of thing, and he's just not seeing the bigger picture. they're saying, okay, well, Carson Beck is getting $4 million. You're going to get a $40-50 million guaranteed contract in 2 years. Carson Beck gonna be at. He probably gonna have a house that don't have a garage, and his car gets stolen again, and don't know that he need a garage for them cars. Like, come on now, like you can't see the forest for the trees, and I think that's gonna be the problem for some of these athletes. Yes, it's great to have the NIL money there, but there's bigger money in the National Football League. Don't get it twisted how people say, oh, well, yeah, they say that for those guys that's been in school for 5-6 years. Yes, it's good to hold them over. But for a guy like him, he's going to the NFL. So why indulge in the breadsticks when the main course is coming out the oven? You're right. You're there. You're there.
Right. So who do Tennessee have right now that can replace him?
I do have no idea who is. I want to look that up because I'm like, I don't even know who's the
So no offense.
I don't know. Yeah.
The thing of it is, man, they are probably wilding out when it comes to these deals and this NIL, But if he signed a contract and then he's saying we could renegotiate and I want more, and yes, the dude could say, nah, you can go. You know what I mean? What are the fans? The fans are probably looking at him like he's selfish, but if he don't play for UCLA and he still get a little bit more than $2 million and UCLA still do well and then Tennessee don't do anything, that's not going to make that coach in that situation look bad.
Well, I mean, so the starting quarterback as of today. This is April the 16th. It is going to be Jake Merkelinker, 6'3", 215, a stud out of Savannah, Georgia, from Calvary Day High School in Savannah, Georgia. So, I mean, but I agree with what Hypo did because this is another one where
I'm with you.
You think to yourself, why are we negotiating your contract in the midst of us in the pursuit of winning a national championship? Like he did this, he started negotiating in December. And I get it. And that's the thing where I think, yeah, you think to yourself, I paid you even in their red shirt. Yeah, this kid red shirted. And I paid you to just sit.
Right.
Like, I paid you. Like, and it's just like, how can you? And that's another thing too, where it's just like, it just in good faith. I paid you as a red shirt. Like, now, mind you, I mean, I obviously as a red shirt, you're still doing stuff for the team, but you're not producing on the football field that we want you. We redshirted you, and we gave you $2 million as a red shirt. And I'm at a point where it's like, it's to a point where it's not worth it. It's not worth going through this dark cloud throughout the season about this situation where it's like, okay, he wanted to negotiate his contract. Okay, so then he go sit out summer camp, and my starting quarterback needs to be out here the first week of August with his teammates, and I'm going to sit here worried about, oh, he want to hold out because he want to double his deal. No, like I'm just going to go with what I got, and it is what it is. The juice not worth the squeeze.
Look, I'm with what you're saying, and everything you're saying is right. But at the same time, just giving I'm not doing an error, I'm just giving a different perspective. Like, okay, because it's in negotiations, right? So this dude is saying, you're not, I did this for you, you redshirted, you sat and I paid you $2 million. You went out there and you had a monster season, almost 3,000 yards, like you said, 19 TDs. You know what I mean? 5 interceptions. I'm with everything that you're saying. So he decides, you could just leave. You can go, right? When I know if they've been doing negotiations, I'm sure there's a team like, yo, you can come right over here and sit here. You know what I mean? Regardless. And I'm not gonna give you that. But see, And then they put the information out there, right? So they were saying teams was turning their back on him and blah blah blah. So he ended up going to UCLA, or supposed to go to UCLA. What I'm saying is, if the dude know his value, he know that okay, I'm negotiating. I'm gonna sit out of this because you have nobody else, and I'm a top notch guy, and I'm asking you this. And I know this stuff is new. I know this stuff is new, and I know it's some people understand and some people pisses them off. You know what I mean? That college, this is happening. But all I'm saying is, even though he's getting all the darts and everything thrown at him, is that guy that you talking about that everybody praised and made this decision. If Tennessee smells for the next 2-3 years, you don't think people are going to look, and that dude still does well. Like he may not do as well, but or he just does well. Let's just say he does well, or he don't do well, right? And Tennessee is horrible, worse than what he's doing. He's not going to get criticized, or this. You don't think so?
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna get criticized by the fans, and he might get criticized.
Right.
But that's just like everything. He's gonna get criticized even if he was to pony up $4 billion annually to Nico. I mean, so people are going.
That's great. That's a great answer.
All where people are always going to talk, and it's like
right.
So Hypo. I think, in my personal opinion, he had to come in a crossroads because you got to think. Especially if this is causing a problem in April, what's going to happen during the summer, during the dead period? Now I got to worry about this guy potentially going rogue on me during my dead period, where I should be on a boat, relaxing, getting ready for a season. And you look at that, and then this can fester into August, going into camp. So it's just one of the things where I think he just drew the line in the sand, and like. It's just like everything,
Yeah, he made it. He made it. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, because he may look like a genius, and Nico falls flat on his face, or Nico can win the Heisman at UCLA and be one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten next year, and people are gonna look at him like, oh, yeah, you should just gave it $4 million. So it's just gonna be one of those where. And that's the thing about coaching. Anything in life is just he made that decision. And I think, in my personal opinion, we sitting here in April, he made a good decision because of how much he's caused, going into the spring game, which we're going into a preseason type, not even preseason. This is almost like
I'm with you.
Like NFL mini camp. So yeah. So time will tell if he made the right call or not.
Right. And I think guys that do that, it's good business that you want to have a partnership in some type of way. You know what I mean? I think that's always the way it go. Grow together, or just don't burn bridges. You know what I mean? Because in the end of the day, if you felt like you was more than that, and now he got to go to UCLA, he got to try to win that job. You know what I mean? Or maybe that's what he want. Maybe he want to get paid and sit.
But yeah, it's gonna be interesting of how that's all gonna play out, and but time will tell. But I don't know. But yeah. But if he can ball out in the Big 12, that would definitely. I mean, the Big 10. That will definitely elevate his draft stock for sure.
Right.
All right. So we'll not round up, but our final main topic tonight, we'll talk about Kyren Lacey. So Kyren Lacey is the former LSU wide receiver. Many people looked at him as someone that was going to be probably a second round draft pick, potentially a third round draft pick in next week's NFL draft. Unfortunately, he passed away on Sunday of apparent suicide. 24 years old. And I do want to read a statement by Kyren Lacey's father that he put on social media, which we're going to pull that up shortly. And let's see. Of course, the internet don't want me to be great, but here we go. So this is the statement from Kenny Lacey, who is Kyren Lacey's father. And this is a Facebook post that he posted on Sunday following the tragic death of his son, Kyren Lacey. Young parents, start talking to your kids at a very early age and make sure they are confident and comfortable confiding in you. Don't be cool with I'm all right or I'm good when you know deep down something isn't right. Mental health is real, and for the most part, it's invisible. Don't ignore the signs, even
Right.
if they may seem small. Our lives have changed forever, and this will never be okay. But God needed my baby more than he was needed here. This has to be the biggest pull our families have, the biggest pill, pardon me, our families have had to swallow. But I know the love and compassion in our family will get us through. This will never get easier, but we'll learn to live with it. Check on your kids' mental exclamation marks. Okay. Or thoughts on Carol Lacey?
Um, sad, man. You know what I mean? Sad. Like go back to what we were talking about earlier. Like I always, for me, like I'll always pay attention to people and try to do that shadow, that shadow person. Whereas, don't worry about nobody else. It's just me and you. You know what I'm saying? And you can just tell me anything. Got a buddy of mine, right? Um, his nephew uh was at a party, and his nephew was just so emotional, and he was like, man, he was that transition to becoming an adult, you know. He was like, I'm working at Walmart, man, and they're kind of playing with my schedule. And I looked at him and I said, man, where you live at? And then I broke everything down. I said, meet me here tomorrow, you know. And then because of my reputation, I took him to a Food Line, and he lived right up the street. It's a perfect person there to help guide him, whatever personal. So like took him to a place where I know this person is going to have that empathy to say, hey, what's going on, and check on him and be patient. You know what I mean? And that it's true, man. Like a lot of times we would be like, I'm all right, you know what I'm saying? But deep down we want somebody to talk to, but we don't know how to express it or know how to talk to, or you know what I mean? It's a lot. Like I remember same dude years later. He was like, yeah, I'm playing a game. And he was like, man, I just been snorting a bunch of cocaine. And I said, well, why are you snorting cocaine? You know what I mean? And then I was worried a couple months later. I said, yo, you still? He said, nah. As soon as you asked me why, I stopped because I was like, why am I doing this? You know what I mean? Like, you just never know. Like, and I was listening to, like, Shannon did a very, very, very good take. You know what I'm saying? But I was listening to some other ones, and they was just saying he was dealing with a lot, the investigation and all these different things that was happening. So, like, two people end up passing. You know what I mean? Like, it was like two families was hurting. And it's a lot, man. Like, and some people, they love just listening, like, you know what I mean? And you just sometimes just letting it out, you know what I mean? It's really sad though. It's really sad, because then life goes on, and you got that void, it's really, really sad.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is really sad because it was, it was so strange because I know it. So obviously, Jay Daniels and Malik Neighbors
Mm-hmm.
were part of. They were his teammates at LSU,
Right.
and obviously those two were drafted. Malik and Jaden were drafted last year, and they pretty much did like a like a FaceTime call with Kyren and said, "Hey, this is gonna be you next year.
Right.
We're gonna see you. We're gonna see you in the same stage next year."
Right.
And and to think that literally was two weeks away from that. It's really
Right.
heartbreaking. Really heartbreaking. I always, especially when, when younger people pass. I always think, because you think to yourself, especially if you lived long, and you think to yourself, certain things that they will not have the opportunity to experience, like just the growing old, they have wisdom, like in his case, to have an NFL career, have that support system, especially I think, obviously with the LSU, because those guys are really close knit, and also to the National Football League. And I think that's such a heartbreaking thing. And I think, and Kenny Lacey, that's the reason why I really wanted to kind of point, and wanted to read that statement, because I think that to me, that was very powerful. And I know, it's more so like, like you said, everybody always say they okay, they good.
Right.
But sometimes deep down inside, everything ain't okay and everything ain't good. And like you said, and I'm kind of glad now in this day and age where people are really taking like mental health serious, because I always say, like, when it comes to, because I think people don't, when you think of ailments or anything, okay, somebody leg hurt, they got a limp. Or if they got a problem with their arm or problem with their limbs, you can tell, you can see like them, like there's a struggle. Like, okay, if you got an ankle pain, you're walking a little gingerly, you walk in certain things, you can tell like something is wrong with that person. But when it comes to mental health, it's invisible. It's people who smile the most. It's people, it could be anybody. It could be even people who are depressed, people are sad. The ones who you perceive as the happiest, probably internally are going through it all. And that's why I think when you look at that type of stuff, it's an invisible silent thing. And I think when it comes just to mental health and overall, it just, always, to me, like those type of situations, you lead with compassion, because you never know who you're going to come across, and you can have an impact. Like, it's always like, to me, I always look at the type of situation where it's like, always when I'm around, just be myself, be act engaged, be, smile, because you never know, you could change somebody's trajectory of their day. Like, somebody might have had a crappy day, but if I smile or talk to you like, hey man, how your family doing? And they probably think to themselves, damn, you're the first person who asked me how I'm feeling. Like, that type of, like, people don't understand, like, that stuff matters. Like, because some people go around and think nobody cares about them.
Right.
And, and that's the thing. It's like, and that's why now I'm, like I said, as far as mental health is now being at the forefront. It's not like back in the day, where it was kind of taboo, and, you were kind of frowned upon if you were dealing with mental health. It just the stigma alone of mental health was kind of one of those, was a very taboo subject that a lot of people shied away from. But now I'm glad, especially in this generation where, kids, especially, kids and young adults are kind of leading this charge of mental health. And, I definitely commend this generation now of being vocal about these things.
Right. Yeah, man. People will, would judge other people and say, man, they were addicts and blah blah blah. But then you talk to them after they get, they got through all those toxic situations, and then you start hearing about their childhood and the things they had to deal with. And you was like, you ever thought that maybe you were doing that to numb yourself, so you ain't got to keep going back and dealing with all the triggers that you had to deal with when you was a child? Like, I was in like a couple weeks. I was, I was, when I went back, I was sitting with my family, and everybody was like, because everybody got something to say. Family talk about each other behind each other's back so much, right? So I just went into my podcast mode, whereas I start bringing up history, and I was like, yo, so there was a riot here in Akron where they had the National Guard. You know what I'm saying? So just think about that. Like you growing up, you a child, and you just hanging around, and they were saying they broke it into detail where when they said the National Guard, they said everybody had to be in the house. So think about people that was at work. They couldn't leave work, even if they lived 4 houses down and they wanted to go be with their family. They could not get out of their home. That's not normal. You know what I mean? And then you have that was like 68, between 68 and 70 or something like that. They were telling me that stuff can mess with a person's mental. You know what I mean? Of things of that nature. And then, and I'm sure it's way more story to that, because think about, you got to be in the house and your mother said, well, I live right there, sir. No, you need to stay in your house. I just want to go be with my babies. You know what I mean? And or she went to the convenience store and she wanted to go home, and she went right there to the across the street, and she just want to go back across the street to be with her family. She got food and stuff for them, and they won't let her, and they beat her up or threw her in a car. All that stuff is hard to deal with mentally. You know what I mean? You start thinking, you try to numb yourself when you go through all those different now, I don't want to say toxic, but it's the same that I can't. A little emotional right now, so I can't think of those the certain word that I'm looking for. But I think you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, man. So we'll put a bow on tonight's Couch Coach Live. So we're gonna give out our game ball this week's game ball. Well, you did your game ball already.
Yeah,
Do
I
you want to
mean,
reiterate
bottom
your
line
game
is,
ball? Or, okay.
yeah. I'm gonna give it to everybody that helped me. Like this week, if it ever was a time somebody could say I manifested, man, I manifested everybody. Everybody was here, man. Like, shout out to the Ortizes for looking out for me, my Morgan family, the Little family, the Underwood family. Shout out to my homegirl Rachel, popped up on me. You know what I'm saying? Um, my mom, I got to see my brother. I ain't seen my brother in years. And just looking at him now, it was a trip, because I was like, man, you look like my homeboy Ty. You know what I mean? He was helping my mom with her taxes. That was, you know what I mean? It's just good. It's good seeing my cousins, man. All these dudes is it's funny, man, because everybody I see in my whole life, that is how I can relate to people, because I see bits and pieces, like even you. Like I saw you there, like in some type of way. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, my game ball go to my family. I do that a lot. You know what I mean? Give my game ball to my people that I respect. You know what I mean? But shout out to my grandma, man. Little DeYoung, I heard through the grapevine that little LeBron used to at one time used to go by her house and run through the house. I never knew that.
Yeah, yeah. So, game ball goes to Charlie Ward. And this as of, what is this now, 10 o'clock, that pretty much, according to Pete Thamel, that Charlie Ward will be named the head coach at FAMU, Florida Atlantic A&M,
Oh,
Florida,
word.
Florida, Florida A&M, aka FAMU. Charlie Ward was a 1993 Heisman Trophy winner. Had a great NBA career as well. Definitely a huge shout out to Charlie Ward. And he'll lead FAMU. So definitely huge shout out to Charlie Ward. So put a bow on tonight's podcast. Social media. Final thoughts
Uh,
social media. What you
yeah, DT Morgan, 78, Instagram, Deshaun Morgan, Facebook. Final thoughts. I will say this too, like, big shout out to Stewart and Calhoun. Like, I was in a limo and I had a great conversation with the gentleman that was driving the limo. But final thoughts, man. Just I appreciate you, man. Like, again, sorry to you know the Raiders fan that sorry for his family for their loss, and shoot, man, we just move forward. I got through it, B. You know what I'm saying? I got through it, B, and we get ready for next week.
Yeah, man. Once again, another great show. And like you said, times like this, sports do, provide like a respite for the type of situations and everything that's going on. And, once again, sending my condolences to you and your family.
Yeah, appreciate
everything
you.
going on this week and as well. And also to send condolences to Darion's family. Once again, like we talked about at the beginning of the show,
D-Hop.
Of D-Hop, his passing is very, very shocking, and just one of those things where it's just like, you just gotta continue to do what you love to do, and you just gotta keep grinding and keep moving, and just just know, and just always just appreciate every day you get an opportunity to live out your dreams, live out your life, be with your friends, be with your family, people that love you and care for you, and it's okay to get help. And like I told you last week, feel your feels. You're gonna be going through it, so feel your feels. Don't hide it. Just say if you gotta do what you need to do. I know, sometimes sometimes you might just need to lay on the sofa and just cry. Do it. Feel your feels. Don't let it fester. So the show. So yeah, man. So this wraps up episode 337 here on Couch Coach Live. We'll catch you guys next week as we get ready for one of the greatest spring spectacles of all, the National Football League draft. So we'll catch you guys next week, and we're out.
You're welcome.